Bad signal at the station there.
Oh, mate, awful, unbearable. Like I keep trying to. I was trying to get content out as quick as possible because I just finished work, started a new job on yesterday, so I was trying to get a video out as quick as possible. After I finished, but just didn't want to go up.
Oh dear.
What do you reckon of everything then? Today's been obviously loads going on.
Oh man,
mad links.
it's like every day there's like at least two big things going on. Like the Sanchez stuff. I think we all saw it coming. It's been delayed, hasn't it?
Yeah.
It's reminded me of the Pupil all over again, but obviously a slightly different story. But it never seems like he's wanted to come to us, does it?
No, I didn't think that either.
Yeah. And now Napoli are back in, apparently. Napoli are back on board. Crazy.
Madness, isn't it? It's like, to be fair, that I never felt like he was going to come, like you say, really. But it's one of them, like, it just feels like, at what point do Wolves cut it and just say, we're wasting time here? You know what I mean?
Well, we've just seen Guedes go, and he didn't ever really want to be at Wolves, did he? So if Sanchez has got the same attitude, it's just a recipe for disaster, isn't it? It is. Yeah. It's like they're forced to go. So if he wants to go to Napoli, then he goes to Napoli, go for someone else.
Yeah, it feels weird, like, because like the Riasson stuff from Dortmund, like, I feel like that came out yesterday with them basically just expecting to release this news, because I really don't think, in terms of the journalists that are involved in all of it, I don't think there's that many reliable ones anyway. Like all the Spanish and Italian journalists involved in the news aren't really, they're not getting the scoops, are they?
That Matteo is good, isn't he? He seems good. He was hot on the Guedes story. He was the first one on that, and a few others. But yeah, that Ryerson one, I don't know. He said he's happy there, didn't he? He said he's happy there, but he said he would like to play in the Premier League. But all players would, wouldn't they? And was it Sunderland that were linked as well?
Yeah.
Another Norwegian. Be turning to the national team for carry on.
I know, yeah. It's like the Portugal revolution all over again now. It's so many. It's been a weird window so far. Obviously, I don't think there's too much truth in the Ben Doak stuff, but it just feels way
again. With players like that and stories like that, there's always about 4 other clubs named. You know what I mean? They're just linked in the same sort of club. So it fits the Fosun mold, doesn't it? A young lad who potentially could have sell-on value. But again, I don't. It was Sky Sports, that one as well, wasn't it? I think it was Sky Sports. So strange. They don't seem to do too many, do they, Sky? It's usually Fabrizio or people like that. So no, I don't think that'll happen. And then I said on my video I did earlier, if you're Mateus Mane and they bring someone in like that, you'd be thinking, hold on, I've just signed a pro deal. We're led to believe he might be back up. He might be on the bench, trying to fight for a chance to play in the Cups or something, starting the Cups in one of the number 10 roles. And I don't know. We'll see. But we'll see what happens with that one. I doubt anything will happen, though.
Yeah, obviously people are frustrated at the minute as well with the, as someone's just said here, Josh, about the Guesson stuff as well.
All that,
I mean, again, it feels like one of them that I think Wolves were just, again, caught napping at the start of the window, didn't really act on their interest, did they? And then it's been died down for about a month, hasn't it, really?
I don't know how true the quotes were, but apparently he said he saw the Wolves' interest and he didn't even react. He weren't interested. Obviously, he was obviously aiming a bit higher in his head, but that was all before we got John Arias, wasn't it? I think he was potentially the Cunha replacement, and now we've got John Arias, who obviously got off to a flyer, scoring in that friendly. But I like the look of him, though. Guesson, he does look really good, doesn't he? So Villa have got a good player there, to be fair. We'll see how he gets on next season.
Not a bad fee either, really. 35 million euros in this market, really. I know it's not. I mean, how old is he? 24, I think. I mean, it's reasonable for a player of his quality and a player that, to be fair, I think he's one of them players.
At the same time, it makes you think, I don't think Fosun would have paid that, Jeff. I don't think they'd have paid that. No. They're trying. They are trying, but there's a certain range of price that we're paying for players, isn't it? Like anything north of 20 million euros, which they're starting to shake a bit and be like, we ain't doing that. We're out.
It feels like that. There's a lot of it. The one thing I really want to sort of touch on now, like today, I think the most important thing of it all, I think we all expected Fabio to go. But in terms of the Fabio Silva stuff, like he was never going to fit at Wolves. He just wasn't. Just never going to fit. Just never felt like he was going to fit. Never felt definitely like they were going to keep him this summer either. But it just feels like a lot of people are a buzzing about him. When I don't know, he feels like one of them players. I just think at Dortmund, I think he'll just come to life. I think young players over there just tend to, but I don't know. It's a weird one. I think the fee's all right, definitely for how long he's he's got on his contract in terms of I mean, if he didn't have that loan at Las Palmas last season, his market value would have been astonishing. It would have probably been left like the same around the Guedes fee, really. Probably would have been around there. So, how do you feel about the Fabio Silva stuff? I think it's a pretty good deal.
Even with that Las Palmas loan move that was obviously quite successful, I'm still shocked if we are to sell him for that. I know he's still young. He's got a year left with an option for another year, I believe. But like you say, he's never going to work out of Wolves. We've tried a few times. Some players just don't fit a club. But I agree with you. I think he will go on to be decent. And we'll look back and think, why didn't we give him a chance? But like Guedes, some players just don't fit a club. So take what you can. He clearly does not want to be at Wolves. He's every pre-season, the same story. Usually goes out on loan. This time he's got to be a permanent. And it looks like it's going to happen. And mate, I honestly thought we'd take about 10 million euros for him. But to 20, I was shocked when I saw that fee. And I even saw that Wolves were trying to hold out for like 25 million euros. So fair play. They're trying to get their money's worth. And I know the Guedes one was a bit different. I don't know what Fabio Silva was on wage-wise, but Guedes was huge money apparently, wasn't he? So they just thought, right, cut our losses, get him out. But Fabio, if Sasa Kalajic goes out on loan, then we've got to get another backup striker in, haven't we? Because, I mean, if Strand Larsen got injured, then what do we do? So, we've got to replace them. And I know the season starts in a couple of weeks. And what is it, 4 weeks till the window actually closes? So it's going to be so busy, even when the season kicks off. And it always seems to be the way with Wolves. Always seems to be the way we do seem to do a lot of our deals late. And apart from the first season, we got promoted under Nuno. That was a really good window. We got a lot done early then, I remember. But ever since then, all our, especially our significant deals from memory, are always like dramatic and late, and then they turn out to be good. So hopefully, if they are late, they're good.
I spoke to a few fans of different clubs and stuff recently, especially for YouTube. And like, I was speaking to a Fulham fan the other day, and he said similar. Like, Fulham fans always panic at the start of the window, but Fulham have always been a club that let all the other teams do their business and then just pick up the scraps at the end of it. It's a bit different to Wolves in that approach, but Wolves at the end, regardless, Wolves do their business late. And obviously, I mean, last season it went about as late as it could get. It went halfway through the season until January, until good players actually started coming in. But that's my only worry, really. I think, like, in terms of when you look at the current squad, I think there's at least four. I think probably need to come in. As Brennan said in this comment as well, I think we need at least 4 players. I think 4 players is probably comfortable. But again, there's not that long left, really. There's a lot of you can't afford to spend another week on Sanchez. Do you know what I mean? Like, he's already been. How long's that been going on now? What, 5 days, 6 days? Maybe?
Yeah, it feels like about a week. Yeah, 5 days, 6 days.
Feels like a month, doesn't it?
Well, considering Muller-Wolf come in instantly, he was like he was linked, then bang, he was at Molyneux, medical done. When a player wants to come, they come, don't they? So we need a player, a right-sided player like that. But I think because of the quotes from Vitor when he said that he wanted to get the deals done early for a good pre-season, but then you see what other managers have been saying. Like they're having similar, like Moyes, I think, come out and said a similar thing. Gladner, So I think we had to replace obviously Cunha, Sarabia, Semedo, Aït-Nouri. Muller-Wolf for Aït-Nouri, that's a replacement there. Fair Lopez for Sarabia, you could argue. John Arias for Cunha, and then a senior. I know, because we need someone who's unproven, don't we, to come in at right wing back, because Hoever, Rodrigo Gomez, I mean, Doc could probably fill there, but come on, he's getting on a bit. He's more of a right centre back now, isn't he? So they get them 4 covered, and we need a midfielder because Tommy Doyle and Traore went, which I was quite surprised at, to be honest. And I actually bumped into my Birmingham mate in Tesco the other day. He didn't say anything to me. He just looked at me and just went, "That Tommy Doyle's incredible." That's the first thing he said to me. I was like, "I know he is, mate, but we got João Gomez and Andre." He was like, "Nah, but he's better." I was like, "All right, don't go too far." But they love him already, I think. They love Tommy Doyle already. So again, for his career, I get why that move happened. But we've got to get a midfielder in. We've got to. And a left centre back, was it Renan? We keep getting linked with. Who used to play under Vitor Pereira for Corinthians and was it Al Shabab? He looks good. He's again another young player. But yeah, we need, like you say, another 3 or 4. And I get they're aiming for young lads for good prices, like Fair Lopez and people like that, and obviously Muller Wolf. But we've got to get like another John Arias, a late 20s, a lot of appearances, proven. Although he's not proven in the Premier League, but someone who's done it at a high level. We've got to do it. Else, it'll be like every other season, it seems like, and we'll have a bad start.
Yeah, do you know what? Yeah. Like, I was saying similar earlier as well, like on my video that didn't upload. I was saying, like, what Wolves need. My biggest concern is not. I mean, my biggest concern is, of course, the incomings and outgoings. That's it's not particularly unbelievable. It's not great to look at, but I do think in terms of the squad, the average age is very, very, relatively low. There's still a few players that bring it up. Sar's getting on. Doc, obviously, I think he's 33 now. So there's players in and around there that are old. But like you say, I think that 26, 27, 25, 26, 27, maybe at a push 28, that's the type of age profile that Wolves need to be looking at, because ultimately, yeah, like you say, I mean, especially in the wing-back areas, they're all young. Even, Wolfer's young. So there needs to be, I think, one more experience in there. And I think with the midfielder, that's where hopefully, if there's a midfielder that comes in, they are experienced as well, because when you look at that as well, I mean, João Gomez and Andre, they're not old. Traore's, like you say, out on loan. I just find it baffling that they've both gone out before one's come in. That's what I couldn't wrap around when I saw it.
Well, we've got Manetzi who can cover in there and Bellegarde, but that's about it. Was it again? I think it was against RC Lens the other night. I think Touré was ended up in midfield when Andre went off injured, which was hilarious. But obviously he's a forward. But yeah, mate, we've got to get him in again with you. I'm surprised both went out on loan. I thought he'd keep Traore as backup. I know he's had injuries and he hasn't played much for us, but he seemed to be picking him over Tommy Doyle. When he come back, he'd bring him on before Doyle. So I was surprised at that, and they've just got to get him in. And again, look, we did it in January, though, when you talk about the age.
I'm not sure what's happened there. Let me just... there was a bit of lag. Let me just see if I can add Harry back to the live. Give me 1 sec. There we go.
Bad. Am I back? Sorry. Did it cut off?
Right. No worries, mate. No worries.
Where was I? I can't remember what I was saying.
about the midfielders going out.
Yeah, so and I went on to, like you said about the age. We did it in January, didn't we? With Manetzi and Agbadu. They're late 20s.
Yeah.
And I know Giga hasn't worked out. He's ended up going on loan to Rangers, so which is a strange one. I thought he might stick around as cover, but Vitor obviously don't fancy him. So yeah, even if we fish in the French leagues.
It's a weird one. I mean, in terms of I do think, like, a staple of Liverpool's business, for example, obviously Liverpool are running a completely different scale. But, for Liverpool's business, they're very much surrounding themselves around market opportunities. And other clubs have. So many clubs have surrounded themselves, and their ethos in recent years has been market opportunities. And I feel like, certainly for me, definitely looking in anyway, I feel like Wolves have missed a lot of them. Like, for me, when I was looking at the start of the season, I thought they could do far worse than bringing in the end of last season. I thought it could do far worse than bringing in Callum Doyle. Then it was reported that he was 10 million quid. I thought, homegrown, 10 million quid, left-footed centre-half, really promising, great on the ball. That'd be sound for 10 million quid. That left centre-back slot is filled. Then I think Kyle Walker-Peters is another one that I think Wolves have missed out on. I'm not saying he's unbelievable. I do think he's very underrated, actually. But, again, a market opportunity, someone that can play left-back, right-back, has played the 6 at points as well, but generally, again, another player. And I think that's another thing that's been really interesting with the recent links is the versatility. Obviously, Riasson can play left, can play right, when he can play, when he's not injured. But, Juanlu Sanchez can play left, right. He's played second striker. He's played the 8, the 6, the 10. He's played everywhere. But I think Wolves need to get a few players, like you say, in that 25 range. And ideally, I think the thing is, I'm not overly keen on the idea of Wolves going into the market and then they end up buying another young lad for midfield who, it's promising to say that, it probably, let's be honest, João Gomez or Andre, one of them will leave in the next probably 18 months, knowing the way that Wolves are unfortunately operating at the minute. But again, like, what the issue they've got is what young lad's going to want to come in and be backup and not play games. You can't really loan players, again, because who's going to get in that midfield starting every week over them two? And then also, you've got to find a player that's 27, 28, just reaching his peak years, 28 to 30, 28 to 31 maybe, that again wants to sit on the bench and be a rotation option. So it's a really tough one, I think, for Wolves in that midfield.
Yeah, I agree. And like you say, if we were just going in for a midfielder and then he looks at Andre and Gomez, he's going to think, well, I don't want to go there. I think the key is, like you've alluded to, buy someone who can play multiple positions, like a Bellegarde type player, floats around. And when you talk about young players, like Pedro Lima as well, like they want him to go out on loan. So he came here, didn't he? Hoping he'd break into the first team to try and break into the Brazil national team. I know he's still young, but he has looked decent, to be fair. When I remember last year when he came on against Bournemouth and few starts. So I'm quite surprised how it's gone with him. But again, looks like Vitor just wants him to go. And there's a lot of competition. Well, I say a lot. Well, there is, but there's not like a solid
level competition.
Right wing back. Yeah. So Hoever was starting a lot. But for me personally, if we didn't bring in another right wing back before City, I think I'd go with Rodrigo Gomez. But I'm a bit biased though, because I do really like him. So I don't know what most people would say with that.
No, I think that's the interesting thing that I was going to ask you about next. So for me, I think Pedro Lima could do with the loan, but the reason I think it's interesting with him, because you briefly touched on it there, is like he came in and there was a clear plan for you'd like to think the plan was for Semedo to go, because let's be honest, he probably wasn't going to extend anyway. I mean, the fact he didn't extend on that wage and them terms was absolutely ludicrous to me anyway. But from his perspective, anyway, if someone offered me that contract at that age for 4 years, I'd be buzzing. But in terms of for the sort of right, you would have thought Lima would come in after Semedo's gone, be starting for the next few years. But it just, for some reason, he just hasn't quite, maybe not. I mean, he had 232 minutes to prove himself. That's all he's had. So again, like last season, he played 232 minutes. And again, I think that probably hasn't helped him because, again, in the circumstances of last season, you can't throw in a 19-year-old lad to play right back when you're under the cosh. You're relegation threatened for 80% of the season. So again, it's almost like everything's sort of gone on around him that he can't control, really.
Yeah. It's coming back to me now. I think it was Forest he started against in the league, just at the turn of the year. It was that game when we had hardly anyone available. It was before we even saw Agbadu. And he had such a good game. And so did Rodrigo Gomez at left wing back. So when you see him like that, but again, thinking back to that game, he was a bit raw defensively. He left Doherty exposed a lot. And I think it was Alanga that did him on toast for one of the goals. But Pedro Lima he'll become a top Premier League player, I think. You can just see it. But again, it's a risk, isn't it? If you just go, right, he's our right wing back, that's it. It's just not going to happen, is it, this season? No. Especially when, as it stands, I know we're favourites to go down with some bookies. I think Wolves fans are a bit more real. They think we'll be okay. But unless, I mean, if it was right now and you said we're bringing no one else in, I think we'd be down there near the bottom. Yeah. Especially if we've got a few injuries. We get a few injuries, we're in big, big trouble.
That's my thing at the minute. It's like if I was to put a sort of a lineup together in my head, right? It's a Jose Sa injury away from a significant. I mean, I don't think Jose Sa is an unbelievable keeper. Let me put that make that abundantly clear. But he is by far. I mean, I think he'll be replaced in the next 18 months to 2 years. But he is not one of the ones that you want to replace this summer. Simply, you just don't need to touch that area for this summer. But again, Jose Sa gets injured. It's a championship, bottom table championship at best. Keeper in Sam Johnston and Dan Bentley, who I don't think there's a league in the world that he might qualify for. So but then if you look at it in the other positions, it is concerning. Left side of centre half, there's no one. Most other centre halves, really. I mean, if Agbadu gets injured, then I'm really concerned because again, there's no one of that level again to go in that centre half.
Well, that worries me, Santi Bueno.
Santi. Oh, tell you what, as long as he's not playing that right centre half, like
he was shocking the other night again against Girona.
It was unbelievable to watch, I'll be honest. But again though, you can look at it for any other position. I think the drop off from Wolfer and Bueno. I mean, none of us have watched. I mean, I've watched Wolfer, but I've only watched as much as you can possibly watch through scouting videos and stuff like that. And again, you don't know his true level to the Premier League, so that's a risk. The right wing back is massive risk. Whoever plays there, midfield. I mean, one of João Gomez or Andre gets injured, and it's Manetzi or Bellegarde playing in a position that. I mean, Manetzi was naturally a 6 anyway, really, or an 8 when Wolves signed him. And
that's what we thought, yeah. That's what we thought. It was a surprise, wasn't it, when he was in the number 10 and up front at times?
Yeah, it's a mad one. But again, like even then, I think because them two are so good, as much as I think there's worse areas in the squad in terms of depth, the drop-off is still significant from whichever one comes out of them two if they get injured. And then obviously the number 10s, I mean, if Arias gets injured, it's, again, not great. For Lopez, Munetsi, there's players that can play in the 10 roles, but again, I don't think it's by any means great. So, yeah, and if Strand Larsen gets injured, then again, the drop-off is this is the telling time of the window now, isn't it?
Well, Munetsi, it's a funny one because I did a predicted team and I would pick Fair Lopez in the 10 with Ganadios on the other side. But I personally do think Vitor will pick Munetsi. So I think he just loves him just because of how hard he works and he's a nuisance. So I genuinely think against Man City, unless there's a few signings we don't know of yet, I think Munetsi will start. Because on that good run we had, it was Bellegarde, Strand Larsen, and Munetsi, wasn't it, towards the end of last season? So, and will he fully trust Fair Lopez at the moment to start a Premier League game? Maybe not. Maybe I want to bring him off the bench, and we're not going to have much of the ball against City. So, I think it will be Munetsi.
Do you know what? It's funny you say that because I think it's pretty much like exactly what I've been saying for weeks now. I do think Munetsi starts that first game, and I do think that there's absolutely no way that Pereira even looks at Lopez starting that game. I just think that's how it's going to go. I think when you look at a game against City, you probably do want Munetsi in there as well. It's obviously, it depends on game state. Like if you're playing a Leeds at home or a Burnley at home, you want Fer Lopez in there unlocking the door, but you don't want bloody I don't think you can thrust Fer Lopez in first game of the Premier League season.
You just need Munetsi, right? First 5 minutes just to fly in 2-footed on 8 Nori and just take him out. Not that I don't like him, I just don't want him to dance around the wing and get like a goal first 5 minutes or something. So,
especially if that wing back doesn't get solved. Ooh.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's skin Hoever on toast and set Haaland up first few minutes. God.
I mean, the thing is, at the minute, it's frustrating for probably, for yourself, for me, people who you do create a lot of content and stuff. Like, it just feels like at the moment you can't ignore what's going on, but then also you don't want to keep making videos about the same things. But there's so much news every day and so many things changing, and like it's one of them. Like it's not really that many positive changes either. And there's been some. Don't get me wrong. There's been some positive news. I mean, Wolfer's a really good sign, and like you say, someone they've actually really operated well with. They've managed to get it in signed and sealed within pretty much like 24 hours, really 48 hours. And I think that was a good deal, but they need a few more of them. And obviously, there's not that long left, is there? So that is the risk, I think, for everyone, and everyone's sort of quite frustrated with that. Now, I want to sort of move on to next season, really. We sort of touched on pre-season, and I think we can all, we're all in agreement that it's not been like watching Barcelona, has it really? But I think in terms of next season, where's your head at in terms of expectation? I'll phrase that question differently. So Wolves sign all the positions they need to sign. Where do they finish? If Wolves go into the season today with this current squad, where do they finish?
We went in with the current squad, and I'll say I can't even say it. I'll say 17th. If we sign a few, I think the aim's what Vitor said, mid-table. I think that's real. We've been in the Premier League 8 years now. We can't. I know it's easier said than done. I know Fosun want to sell to buy, self-sustain, and we probably were spoiled a bit those first few years when we got into Europe and the FA Cup semi-final. But it's got to at least be safe and not be looking over our shoulder and having an outside chance of going for Europe. We've been teased a few times under Bruno Lage. I remember at one point, January time, we were like pushing top 6, and then he loaned out Adama Traore to Barcelona and didn't replace him. That was weird. Yeah, so there's been a lot of real bad decisions the last 3 or 4 years for me on the pitch. And they've said, I know everyone keeps referring to it, the Johnny Phillips article, the pennies dropped. I don't know. People say the penny's floating, make all the jokes. But yeah, if on the 1st of September we've got another 4 players in and it's clicked and we have a nice little start, we'll all be buzzing. That's the thing. Most football fans are fickle. Wolves fans are fickle. If it's going well, we're on top of the world. We won't even talk about Jeff Shee. We'll just be buzzing, loving life. And Vitor is a manager that's connected with the fans and the city. So they need to get it right with him. They got their man Lopetegui, spoilt that. And Vitor's so similar to Nuno. I mean, people laugh at me on my channel because I always go on about Nuno because obviously he was our best era. But he just looks at us. What I love about Vitor, I know we were just talking about Manetzi may start against City, but he does tend to just concentrate on Wolves and just pick the team, sets them up, plays the way he wants to play, especially in that run we had. It was always the same team when we won the 6 in a row. Yeah. All the ingredients are there if they just get it right in this transfer window for us to have a really successful season. And the frustration is the fans can see it, but we seem to always get let down. So there we go.
No, I think you're spot on. I've said pretty similar on my videos. Really, like I'm not someone who's pessimistic. I never have been with anything, really. But in terms of, I'm not someone who equally will be overly optimistic. And I think in terms of finding that sort of fine line, it's kind of hard with sort of everyone's got their emotions towards people. And I've said, don't get me wrong, I'm not by absolutely no means am I saying I'm a fan of Fosun or She, but equally, I do think people forget like it's not just them. There's been Matt Hobbs, there's been Domenico Tetti. Like it's if it was as simple as Fosun and She not buying players, then fair enough. But like the sporting directors there for a reason. That's their whole role is to get these players in. That's their whole job, and to negotiate with these players. But like you said there, I think you're spot on with the Pereira and Nuno stuff. Like I've not seen the city and the fan base has connected with him since. And for me, like Bruno Lage, I don't think he was a terrible coach really. Lopetegui, I mean, he kept Wolves up, but for me, just one of them cold characters. And Bruno Lage was very similar in terms of not necessarily, he was definitely more warm than Lopetegui was, but in terms of them two, they're just not that. They're not that emotionally in tune, really, with the fans. They don't get it, and everyone wants when they're watching their football club every week. Everyone wants a player, a manager, a staff member that is connected with the fans, that cares about the fans. And like you say, I think it's the closest thing. And it's annoying because you look at the squad harmony as well. I mean, I'm sure you've seen the videos and stuff going around today and yesterday and stuff like that. And it's like everyone inside the club is really connected and everything's there. They just need those little additions. And if you look at it now, I was saying to similar to a Fulham fan, actually, funnily enough, the other day again, I was speaking to him about sort of his aspirations ahead of the season. And he was telling me that he thinks they've got the manager, they've got a really good core of players, they're the right ages, they just need to add. And also, like in terms of opportunity, again, I go back to opportunity. Squads are getting significantly worse. Some of the squads in and out. I mean, Bournemouth, I think they've had a good window in terms of the players. I mean, they bought a good keeper and bought in a good replacement for Kirkes. But again, Bournemouth squad's worse. Newcastle, I mean, if they lose Isak, that does get worse, especially if they don't get Sesko as well. Forest, I don't think they've had an unbelievable window. I don't think it's been terrible. I think Ndoye's a good signing, and keeping hold of Morgan Gibbs White against his will is an unbelievable
that was mad, yeah.
mad thing. But I just think it's one of them, like, there's an opportunity there now to get into that clutch of teams again. It's just probably, I think that's why everyone's so frustrated that the action, we're not seeing as much action at the minute, isn't it, really?
Well, I think I watched, obviously, Jeff Shee's Business Reporter podcast. You can just tell he's just delighted being in the Premier League.
Yeah.
They see it is a good achievement, don't get me wrong. A lot of clubs have been swallowed up after about 5-6 years, gone down, struggled to come back up. So again, Fosun, I'm grateful for Fosun because that era, the first few years, was incredible. But I think, yeah, it was. But Jeff Shee, I'm just not a fan of Jeff Shee in particular.
Yeah.
He got rid of Laurie Dalrymple back in the day. He had a real big connection with the fans, Laurie Dalrymple. Then he brings Scott Sellers in. Then at one point, he's trying to do all the jobs himself. Then he fades away a bit. I thought Hobbs did an okay job, but as soon as he got Gary O'Neill in, and then backed him too much towards the end, his days were numbered. But he was behind the Andre signing, wasn't he? I think he was behind the João Gomez signing, if I'm
as well.
Wrong. Yeah, so he did really good things, Matt Hobbs. I like the look of this Domenico Tete just from when people signed and it shows him meeting them and that. He seems like a real character. And he's obviously clearly got a really good relationship with Vitor Pereira. But yeah, Jeff Shee's more involved again. He said in that Business Sport box, said they all answer to me. So ultimately, the book does lie with Jeff Shee because he gives the funds, he gives the green light. He's the final man for most things. And I think the amount of mistakes we've made on the pitch the last 4 years, I'm shocked that Fosun have never replaced him. That's just my thoughts on it. But again, you look at the business side, he's turned us into a really profitable and put our club, 45 million when he brought us, Fosun? I think it was reported 480, 500 million the club's worth now. So you're over in China working for Fosun, you're going to be like, bloody hell, that Jeff, she's a genius. But then us fans see the little ins and outs and putting the ticket prices up. Some of his mad comments. Like, I think back to his article before Gary O'Neill got sacked against Ipswich, going about positive atoms and talking about Football Manager and things like that. I'm just like, Jeff, man, just don't do interviews. Let someone else speak for you. Laurie Dalrymple was brilliant. He'd go down the pubs, a bit like Vitor. And he had that. Just let someone do that. Let them talk for you. Yeah. It's a language barrier as well. I get it. Like some things he tries to say get misconstrued. But yeah, there's me venting. You mentioned Jeffrey, I start venting. That's it, I'm gone.
The veins popping out your head.
Yeah, no.
I do think though, like, yeah, I completely agree. Obviously, like you said, plenty of clubs have been swallowed up, and ultimately, being a self-sustainable club is a positive. Yeah, it's frustrating because there's no way really of being run that way, in my opinion. There's no real way of going to that next level if every year you're losing one or two. You're replacing them well. No issue with that. Absolutely no issue with that. I mean, Neto and Kilman go, and then all of a sudden it's Cunha and Ait-Nouri step up to another level, and then Cunha and Ait-Nouri go. And this season it'll probably be everyone. I think everyone widely around the league will probably be giving credit to Joao Gomez and Andre, because I actually think it's only the Wolves fan base that genuinely give them credit. It's beyond me, but again, I think that's another thing. It's self-sustainable, but it's not aspirational. Is what is the best way I'd probably put it.
Yeah, I think most fans just want that bit more ambition. Like we're realistic, but I gave the example earlier. That January under Bruno Lage, we needed a couple of players to come in to get that push, and we had a good chance at the time.
Yeah,
and under Gary O'Neill, before that Coventry game, we got knocked out in the FA Cup. We needed signings that January. The squad ended up with. We had Torreira, didn't we, up front? We had Fraser playing. It was ridiculous. And all the fans can see it. And they're just like, nah, sitting on the hands. They kept using the excuse of PSR and FFP, but that's the frustration when all the fans can see just one or two, or even some loans of some sort. And they all seem to be stubborn and stick to their guns. And then when they do it in the summer, sometimes it gets to the January and they go mad. Like the year they bought Lamina and Dawson, and then obviously the January just gone when they bring in Agbadu and Manetzi. So they can do it. It's just their timing's been so off, and seeing it coming's been so off. And we can get it right. I think that's the frustration for fans, where people go mad about Fosun. As I said before, it can be done, and there is people out there for the price range they want to pay. We're realistic. I mean, I know they paid millions for Cunha that one January. I don't think we'll be seeing that again. But if you pay around 20 million euros for a player, look at Agbadu, for God's sake. What a find that was. It can be done. And Andre, what a find. And at the time, people were unhappy with that, if you think back. But it can be done. We just need to get them in before the 1st of September.
Yeah, I think I'm just looking at some of the comments here, and some of them are, I think some of the comments in sometimes on my videos and definitely on yours, I've been, I do often have a chuckle at the comment sections, but someone said here Hobbs was useless, and I think that's very harsh. Like you said, you got a list of, well over 5 players in terms of good quality players that are brought in under him. His issue was the Gary O'Neill blind loyalty, really. And then obviously fell out with Pereira. And even if you look at his last window, like I briefly mentioned, I know Giga's a bit of a mad one. Manetzi, again, I'm not saying he's the second coming of Messi. He's definitely far from that in terms of his technical ability. But again, ultimately key in keeping Wolves up last season, whether you like it or not. People won't like that, but that is the simple fact, really. And then Agbadu, again, one of them. Without Agbadu, do Wolves stay up? Probably not. I mean, especially in that, I know, that game at Anfield, Agbadu was just outrageous, and Wolves were unbelievably good that day. I think people forget they can still take it to the big teams, and there is a lot of pessimism, and I completely understand it. But I do think people definitely sometimes can go a bit over the top with it all. But in terms of Teti, like you said, I think you make a really good point. He seems very likable. I don't know if that's because they're scared of him because he looks like Lurch from the Adams family, but he's he does seem like a likable fella, and I think in terms of, like you say, everything is leading. There's all the right signs there for success. You just need the numbers need to be brought in, really. And I wanted to ask you a bit about sort of, how you feel about sort of next season, because next season is going to be one of them. Like you say, it could be could be difficult, could be great. But for you, I've asked this to every fan I've spoken to, really. I've asked David as well for Wolves, obviously. And I can't remember what his answer was, actually. But in terms of, for you, what do you want to see from Wolves next season? Now, it doesn't have to be league position. It could be, maybe better away from home or better at home or just something like maybe better. I mean, actually, I know exactly what it was. It was defending set pieces. That was what it was.
Yeah.
Now, for you,
God,
next season, what would it be?
The first half of last season was horrendous for set pieces, wasn't it? I think we received the most by a mile. And then Agbadou come in, and it was so. What you remember at the beginning of every game when Vitor come in, they were practicing, weren't they, before the game? Every single game, practicing clearing crosses. So yeah, first of all, mate, that's a huge one. Massive. Set piece defended, and another big one is actually set piece taking and scoring off corners and free kicks and things like that. And some of our corners over the last few years, the amount of times we've hit the first man, like tearing my hair out in the stands. So maybe, like, is John Arias, can he whip one in, get him on Fair Lopez maybe? I was saying that against Girona, we hit the first man a few times, I noticed. So maybe it hasn't improved. But Agbadou got an header away at Palace, didn't he, in that 4-2 loss. I remember that header. So, yeah, we need to improve drastically on set pieces because Arsenal showed last year, didn't they? The run they had with the set piece goals they scored, it can be huge for you. So, but in terms of what I genuinely want to see, I love that a lot. I never want to see us, and this is going to be controversial. I like the fact that we went back to a 5. I mean, with the amount of managers that have tried to go to a back 4 and be more fluid, stick with a 5 at the back. Or the 3-4-3, everyone will look at it. But yeah, when we play teams at home, it's a bit of a cliche for Wolves over the years. I just do want to see us go for it a bit more. Like you said about the Menezes or Fair Lopez against City, they want to sit back for 90 minutes and just try and hit them on the counter. I get it. I mean, that's got to happen against the big boys. Yeah. But against teams that we should be beating, just go for it a bit more. But I mean, that's probably a cliche thing to say. And I think we've shown under Vitor we can be solid and we can have runs of wins against teams we should be beating. So, yeah, solid home form and then hopefully some memorable times away from home. But also, mate, I'm desperate for a cup run again.
I knew you were going to say that.
That semi-final against Watford was the best and worst day of my life. Up until the 2-0 was like unbelievable. I was dying to get to the final. Even the Coventry one a few years ago was gutting, but I'd love to see a cup run. And the way the game's going, no managers prioritise it, do they? Which I get because of the money in the Premier League, but I'm dying for a cup run. And we need a bigger squad if we want to do it as well.
Yeah, that's a really good one, to be fair. I think cup run is every team in and around that sort of that level from realistic European pushers down. Everyone wants a cup run, don't they? Everyone wants to go to Wembley.
Palace and Newcastle last season, man. Like I was watching that and I was just so jealous. Like I envied their fans so much watching that. It can be done. We'd have beat Bournemouth on penalties. We could have sneaked it to that final, but there we go.
I just think, I think that's important. I think the set pieces for me, like when I look at that squad, I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying the defence is particularly tall. Totti's not a massive bloke. Doherty's definitely not when he plays there. Mosquera's a big lad. Obviously, I think he'll probably come in fair way into the season now. I don't think he'll be starting, but he'll come in a fair way into the season, given his injuries and stuff like that. Obviously, got a few minutes the other night. Look good, to be fair. Really, for a player that's been out for as long as he has. But, set pieces for me. I mean, in terms of, someone just said in the chat there, what have we got here? Do you think we'll get a penalty this season? And that'll be somewhere to start.
I actually forgot about that because when we got the penalty against Stoke the other day, everyone was like, "Oh my god, we got a penalty," and I forgot we didn't get one all. Has that ever happened where a team's never got a penalty?
Do you know what?
That's mad stat. God, that is. I can't remember another season when we haven't got a penalty anyway. Wolves in particular, but wow, yeah. And then Hwang missed. I know he put it away in the rebound, but he missed anyway. So I wonder if Strand Larsen probably be our penalty taker, do you reckon? Or maybe next season. If he's not playing for Newcastle, he'll be Wolves penalty taker.
I do think, though, it's going to be interesting, like the penalty stuff. I'm not sure if it's ever happened, but if it hasn't, it'll be a nice pub quiz answer in a few years' time. But I think it's really interesting. Now, look, Arias has got a decent set piece on him. Fer Lopez has got a decent delivery on him from what we've seen. I think he'll be all right. But yeah, I think it's going to be interesting next season, definitely. And like you say, the five at the back thing, I'm going to go back to that because ultimately, like, I don't know what the Wolves fans who don't want to see a back five can really expect, because for me, Totti, when he plays in a four, it's like watching Roger Johnson at times. Like, he doesn't know what's going on, man. Totti in a four just doesn't suit it to certain players in football. I mean, Harry Maguire is a prime example. I always think he's been better in a five throughout his career as well, and he just can't seem to do it in a four. He hasn't got the legs for it either, really. But Totti's a weird one for me because he's so athletic, but he just can't seem to cut it in a four. He just needs that sort of someone holding his hand, I think. But in terms of that, the back five, I don't know what people can expect, because ultimately, again, you're not going to play a midfield three for the sake of it, because the two are absolutely fine as a duo. The wing backs have always been a feature of Wolves' play, really, since they come up. I mean, the season they come up. I mean, you think back to bloody Barry Douglas having an absolute worldie of a season.
Oh, yeah. I'll never forget.
Of it.
We played that summer, the championship summer. I remember turning up and Cody was in the middle. I remember thinking, what on earth is Nuno doing here? And then the rest is history. You got him whipping diagonals out to the wing backs. Obviously, said Barry Douglas quality. You're doing Doherty on the right wing back then, wasn't it? And obviously Jota. Yeah. But ever since, that's been our DNA since we've come back up. And last season, when we got absolutely spanked at home to Chelsea 6-2, my God, how exposed we were down the left playing the four. And obviously, we played four away at Arsenal first game of the season with Mosquera, and it was Totti. And they actually did okay. So then we go into Chelsea thinking, oh, this will be brilliant. And then we get absolutely spanked 6. You're like, get back to the back five quick, Gary. Took him too long to, but you did eventually. God.
Yeah. I mean, even like when you look at the sort of progression over the years, though, I mean, obviously you've got the Barry Douglas Doherty era, and then you've got the Doherty and Johnny era, which was unbelievable. And then you've even got, I mean, even bloody Adama played there at a time. And then you've obviously gone from Doherty to Semedo and Aït-Nouri. Like, it's always been a feature of Wolves to have these wing backs. So that's why I'm hoping as well that a wing back does come in on the opposite side, because I like Wolfer. And I think in terms of, I was speaking about this on my channel as well, the signings currently and the players the Wolves are linked with are all very similar in terms of profile. They're all physically a lot more imposing than the previous lads who were there. I mean, Wolfer's 6'1", I think. Totti's around 6 foot. Agbadu's a big lad. And then you look at the wing backs. I mean, Juanlu Sanchez, I think he's 6 foot. I mean, Arias isn't the tallest.
5'7", any, but he's quality anyway.
Yeah, he's
do you know what? I think that's what Vitor Pereira's issue was with Tommy Doyle. I don't think he liked how small he was. So yeah, like I agree. He's after big physical players, isn't he? That's why he likes Manetzi. He's a big lump. Yeah. So I mean, if it works and that's what he wants to do, I'm all for it. But what do you think about Strand Larsen? Do you think he's sticking around? He is, isn't he? He's just someone's put. Yeah, he's sticking around.
I don't think he'll go. To be honest, I just don't see why he'd go. I mean, I'll just highlight it there. There you go. Larsen's going nowhere. I just don't think he will. Personally, for me, I don't think he'd go to Newcastle anyway, because I mean, also I don't see why he'd fit Newcastle from my perspective. Like, tactically, I don't think he's completely different profile to any of the players they're linked to, or the previous players they've had. Like, he's not someone who's going to run in behind, and he's not someone who runs the channels. He's not someone. I mean, the idea of him trying to keep up with Elanga and Gordon.
Yeah.
I don't know. It just feels weird, but I don't think Larsen will go. I think, I mean, to be fair, them putting a price tag on him was interesting enough for me. I think
65 million was it? Yeah.
Good. I mean, I don't know what you think about Larsen, but I'm a massive fan of those traditional number 9s. Like last season, the amount of videos I did on TikTok or YouTube about him, like I love those players because you don't see enough of them. Same reason I love Mateta, and people might not enjoy Mateta watching him particularly. But for me, like, there's something about the art of a big number 9, like Chris Wood, Mateta, Strand Larsen. Like, it was class watching them last season. So I've always loved him, but obviously I think 65 mil for a player that really, like, he's a good finisher. I wouldn't say he's an elite, close to an elite finisher though. He's good at getting in the right areas. But in the modern game, 65 mil for me, for a player of it like him in the modern game, is interesting. I don't know. I don't know if it's. I think it's a bit steep, me, but that's just me.
Well, he had his issues last season. He had a bit of a dry spell in January. There was criticism for his hold-up play at times, but I love him. I mean, I think the fact he got 14 Premier League goals is flown so far under the radar because
Yeah,
Mateus
massive.
Cunha obviously got one more than him in the league. I just don't think he got the praise he deserved last
No,
season.
I
He
agree.
maybe did in the Wolves fan base. Well, he probably should have got more, but I just mean like in total, like everyone else outside of Wolves didn't really speak about it too much. So I think he's fantastic. He hasn't looked for his finishing hasn't looked great in pre-season, but hopefully
Yeah,
he's dusting off the cobwebs. But I love him. I did
yeah,
criticise him a bit around January time, I must admit, when he had that bad spell. But after he got injured, then come back and obviously
yeah,
went on
yeah,
that run and scored like 5 in a row. He's
yeah.
incredible. And to get 14 goals in the Premier League in your first season, which was more than Raul, I believe.
I
And
got 30.
Raul's first season. So, yeah, priceless. But 25.5 million if you include the loan fee, get offered 65. I think Jeff Shee would literally snap Newcastle's arm off. So let's hope it don't happen.
Yeah, he would. I love Larsen, me as a player. And I'm pretty similar on it to you. I think he is one of them players that he's just got something about him. I mean, people are criticising him, and don't get me wrong, he's not been unbelievable in pre-season, but people are saying that he's not creating enough for himself. But it was fine last season when he wasn't, because he never has been that player. But because everything around Wolves is doom and gloom at the minute, that I think people are just very much looking for everyone to get onto about something. Like Larsen's game has never been. He's never been a false nine that links play. He's never been a false nine that interchanges with wingers, and like that's not his game. So the idea that he's not creating enough himself, I just don't get it. I don't get it, me.
Boring.
Hello, have we lost you? Are we back? I think we're back.
I'm back.
Are we back? I think you might be back. Hang on. Right, we'll just carry on talking for now. I'll interact with the chat until Harry gets back because I think he's having a few issues with his connection. But that's not a problem. I'm sure we can sort it. Before we have Strand Larsen, every Wolves fan shouted for a striker of that caliber. Spot on, Richard. Look how long it took to replace Jimenez. It took a very, very long time to replace Jimenez. And ultimately, Strand Larsen was that, but it took a very, very long time, like I say, to ultimately replace him. But yeah, it took a very, very long time. We need to keep Larsen as our main agent. Yeah, that is true. She has blocked Harry. Are we back? We're back, I think. Are we? I can see you. Just about, I think. NASA Giga is doing well at Rangers.
That was so
very
weird.
impressed. I know, it keeps cutting out. It's weird.
Internet problem. No.
I think it's cut him off again. I'm just going to have to check that. Larsen hate is mental. Spot on, mate. Spot on with that for me. I don't get it. He's never been that player that creates for himself. So why on earth he's expected to do it now is absolutely beyond me, personally. I don't really understand that. But yeah. Is Harry, is he back? Are you back? I can...
Wait.
Oh, wait.
I've just
Hello?
put on. Yeah. Have I done it? It ain't even working. What's going on? I'm back. I think I'm back.
I think you're back.
Well, on mine, you're fine. Nothing's changing, so it just must be my internet.
Oh, yeah, no, it's all right. You're all right now. I think you're up to date. Yeah,
That's weird. Bad internet issues for me now, mate.
I just saw a comment there. It was quite interesting. Giga's doing well at Rangers. Our fans are very impressed with him. Now, this is one thing I wanted to touch on, right? Because I've seen this on Twitter. If everyone watched his first game for Rangers and went on Twitter and checked the reaction to that game, and then checked the reaction to the game the other day, I want you to all go back and tell me he's doing well at Rangers, because that first game, they were absolutely on to him. And then ultimately he was all right. He was decent the other night, but but yeah, Giga's a weird one. It just feels like one of them signings that I don't know. Is anything even going to come of it? I don't really see him improving that much. I've seen Scotland really either.
I think I just don't think Vitor likes him. There was rumours that he was very casual in training and things like that, and didn't give 100%, and Vitor didn't like it, so that's why he's gone out on loan. Didn't he split his head open as well for Rangers, like the first day? Yeah. So, but strange one, mate. Because I genuinely thought he'd be trying to get in there, competing at right centre back or something. Made a couple of starts, didn't he? But he didn't look horrendous when he played. I didn't think, but I think there's a lot that's gone on behind the scenes in terms of attitude there.
Yeah, and equally, like you can't, again, like I said with Lima, when you're under the cosh, you can't go away from what you know. You just can't. You just got to stick to what you know, what's getting results ultimately, and you can't really take that many risks when you need to get points on the board. And I mean, Giga, he cost 10 million quid, I think, didn't he? Like 12 million euros.
Was it Red Star? Was it Red Star?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, strange one. Honestly, I thought that would work out, but when was the last time we loaned someone out that quick after signing them? The next window. I'm sure it's happened before, but
there's not been many, has there? But I think it's a really interesting one. Like when you look at Wolves going into next season, like we've said, they need numbers, but there's a good foundation there. And for me, I think if they get all players they need in, I think they'll be pretty comfortable, 12th or 13th, somewhere in around.
I think the only thing we pitched on was it today that Hugo Bueno potentially might be linked to a move away.
Yeah,
prize of that one.
Yeah.
Makes sense with Muller Wolf coming in, I guess.
Yeah. That's what I was gonna. That was pretty much the last point I was gonna sort of ask you about. Really, now Bueno's a really odd one because he's had a really good loan last season. He's played Champions League football. He's played most games in the league. Played in the cups over there as well. Generally, quite a consistent performer as well. But again, like I did get the impression. I just don't think he was. I said it the other day in my video when Wolves were pretty much signing Muller Wolfer that it does open up a gap there for Bueno because again, similar ages, both played in the same division. Wolfer was rated higher in the Netherlands than Bueno. And again, if you're Bueno and you've played Champions League football, you've played it regularly for one of the biggest clubs in the Netherlands, are you then going to want to come in and be back up for a side that potentially could be relegation threatened again? I just don't think it makes any sense for his career either.
And Van Persie seemed to love him, didn't he?
He did.
Yeah, and I always think back as well under Lopetegui when he was keeping Ait-Nouri out the team, playing left back, which is a surprise now when you think back. But I thought he'd come in and be the main left wing back. I did, and then obviously again, Vitor's had a look at him, seen his few of his performances, and he's decided to get Muller Wolf in. So I agree with you. If I'm Hugo Bueno, I'm out the door. I want to go and play first team somewhere. So again, I'd love to keep him as backup. I'd love to, but whether the player would want to do that, I doubt it. So it'd be interesting to see what happens. But again, not long left as a side. We can't keep getting rid of people. We're getting rid of Pedro Lima as well. Will Hoever want to be backup? If we get a new player in, will he want to leave as well? So it's a fine balance in it, trying to keep everyone happy. So it'd be interesting to see what happens.
Yeah, I think the Hoever point's interesting as well because obviously, again, 91 games out on loan since 2022. Stoke, PSV, wasn't great at PSV, really good at Stoke, and above average for Augs there last season. So again, for him, he said, the thing that I think I'm conflicted on this by, is the fact that when you look at the interviews, he's buzzing and he's happy that Pereira clearly fancies him. But then also, it's not just about Pereira fancying him. Fans are going to go into next season with an agenda towards him because of his performance pre-season. And that's not me saying it's wrong or right either way. But again, you've got to perform if the fans are going to, back you at the end of the day. And he hasn't performed that much. And fans will be apprehensive if they go into the season with Hoever as a starter. So it's weird for him as well. I think for him, he'd probably move on. But then your issue is you've got, if Bueno and Hoever move on, you've got Rodrigo Gomez as cover for both sides. And it's and then no one knows his level defensively either. So it's nuts.
Yeah. Hoover's weird. I thought he did okay at Stoke, but then the next two, I thought he was rubbish. And it felt like at Stoke he was fighting for his career almost, like one last chance to stick around. So, but yeah, I think I don't think he's good enough to start at all. Maybe he can cover, because he can play right centre back as well, can't he? Was it Liverpool he started off as a centre half as a kid? So, but is he good enough to start for us? I don't think so.
No. We've got I can't believe what's going on here. We've got
nice.
£5 message from Chaotic Rager. Thank you, mate. That is my second ever donation. Thank you, mate. I don't know how to react to these, so I'm really awkward with it because I just don't understand why people would ever do that. So thank you.
Get some money out, got
You come out the blue in YouTube comment, you're a breath of fresh air, mate. You may not be a Wolves fan, but I like your stuff. Thank you, mate. I really appreciate that, honestly. That is absolutely nuts. And obviously, it's been nice to chat to you tonight, mate. Obviously, taking your time out of your day, it's been quality, and I'm sure we'll speak again at some point. I'm sure we'll get you on the channel throughout the season as well and have a chat, because especially if there's more. I mean, there's going to be more incoming. There's going to be probably more outgoings as well, to be honest. So
yeah.
I'm sure we'll chat again, but obviously I'll keep in touch with you off camera and stuff. And then I'm sure everyone's enjoyed this. I mean, we've had 100, I think we've had 160 is the highest we've had in here, people. So that's, unbelievable, really, especially for a channel of my size. So thank you for taking the time to speak to me tonight, mate. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, sorry about my internet. I had no idea why it kept dropping out, but there we go.
Don't worry, mate.
Spot on. You flew onto the scene, didn't you, mate? You're killing it, so keep it up. And
thank you,
amazing.
mate.
More the merrier, I say. And cheers for having me on.
No worries, mate. Thank you very much. I hope you all enjoyed that chat. Now, most of you might be watching this as a podcast after the live stream. I hope you enjoyed it. Harry is a top bloke, a top guest as well. Someone I find really easy to chat to about all things Wolves and just generally all things football. And I've really enjoyed it tonight. Thank you so much once again, just before I head off, to Chaotic Rager for the £5 donation. I just cannot believe that, mate. Thank you so much. And I really appreciate you all being in tonight. I must quickly just say there's 153 of you in here. So if you're not subscribed or haven't liked the video, I would appreciate that as well. If you're watching this back as a video, I do hope you enjoy it as a video as much as you may have enjoyed it when you're in the live. And we'll definitely do more of these live sort of podcasty style videos, definitely. I'm sure you'll really enjoy them. And like I say, if you're not subscribed, there's 144 of you in here. If you're not subscribed, could you please subscribe, like the channel, comment on this video as well when it comes out as a video. There will be a video tomorrow based on all the stuff we've discussed in this live tonight. There will also be a video tomorrow night. So if you're not aware, my upload schedule has changed from 2 videos, 1 in the morning, 1 in midday, to 2 videos, 1 in the morning, 1 in the evening. So if you did enjoy this live and this video, I'd very much appreciate it if you could subscribe to the channel, like the video, share it with your friends, and thank you, Chaotic Rager, once again, you absolute legend. Thank you, Josh. Thank you, Leighton. Thank you, Lombard. Thank you, Neil. Thank you, Neil again. Neil Jones, that is, sorry. Thank you, Peter. Thank you, Gurpreet Dillon, mate. Absolutely top to see you in here again, mate. Buzzing to see you in here. Quality, once again, Connor. Thank you, Adrian. Thank you very much, mate. I appreciate you a hell of a lot. You need to do a double act with Harry. Thank you very much, everyone. I really appreciate it. Take it easy. I hope you have a nice rest of your evening, and I'll see you in the next one.